Well, let me do a prep before I get started. Okay. Hello, good morning. Welcome to Spiritual Chat. I'm doing a TikTok live, so everybody that's watching this on YouTube later, I'm going to be answering comments as I go along, so that's the people that I'm talking to. And then for everybody that's in here right now that's live, I'm going to be doing Spiritual Chat today. So I put together a bunch of different topics that I want to talk about, if you're interested. And it's things that helped me with my anxiety and depression. Like, I experienced some very heavy depression throughout my life, anxiety, eating disorder. I was in an abusive relationship. I was just generally unhappy with life. Like, there was a point where I just like hated waking up every day. I know like a lot of people have been in that space before or felt that way, and it's not fun. And sometimes it's a deep hole that you got to dig yourself out of, right? And so I figured, hey, Jenny, hey. So I figured I would come on and tell everybody these are some things that like really helped me along my journey and that I still practice to this day. Sometimes it ebbs and flows with the things that I do work with because I have ADHD. And so like some things are more interesting to me at sometimes, and so I'll put it down and then pick it up later or whatever. But I have like a rotating toolkit that I use, right? So when something gets boring, I'll interject it with something else and ride that wave until I come back to the other thing. And sometimes you gotta do that. Keep things fresh, right? Okay, so does anybody have any questions before I get started or anything? Let me know, or if you have questions or comments along the way, I'll be happy to answer them. This is a open platform here. Okay, so the first one is that I used to see a therapist, and I learned that there's this thing called obsessive thought disorder. It's not exactly classified in the DSM, but good morning. So blessed. I like that username. There's this thing, and it's like obsessive compulsive disorder, but with thoughts. Did your son have an Easter egg hunt this morning? Oh, thank you for asking. That's very sweet. We're going to go do one later. Or we have an afternoon hunt that we're going to do. And thank you. Are you Easter egg hunting as well? So you can be compulsive with your thoughts. So like I would think about something and then I would just think about it constantly, either until I did it or it would just like rule my mind. Like it's all I could think about if I didn't do this thing, right? Or I would have anxious thoughts and then I would go down these wild rabbit holes and just have panic attacks all the time. Like I would have panic attacks all the time because my body was just like trying to shut down. It was like, we are too overwhelmed with the thoughts, right? And so that was I haven't thought about that in a long time, actually. I used to have panic attacks like daily and like break down. And so yes, and you're exhausted afterwards. Yeah, when you have a panic attack, it's literally like you can't breathe. Like you feel like you are never going to be able to breathe again. I fixate a lot, very frustrating. Yeah, I do that too to this day. Like there's times when I hyper fixate on things, and so that's why I wanted to share something that's helped me with that. But after you have a panic attack, it's very exhausting because your whole entire body is in fight or flight and you're like literally struggling to breathe and to survive, right? And so when you get done with that, it's just like being like an accident or something. Like it's very taxing on your physical body, your spiritual body, your emotional body, your mental body, right? So something that has helped me along my journey, because I have those like ruminating thoughts, is to, in the morning time, before I do anything, and like I said, use your discernment with these, and these aren't like a cure-all. These are just things that have helped me. And I rotate them in and out when I need them, okay? So in the morning time, you get a piece of paper, and this is called mind dumping. So you get a piece of paper, and you write down every single thought that you have. Like before you get on your phone, before you do anything, like get a piece of paper, and it doesn't matter if the thing makes sense or not. Like it can be random words, it can be association words, it can be all negative. Like it can be a whole page of just negativity. Like that's absolutely fine. What is happening is your thoughts take up so much energy and space in your mind. Like so much, not just like space, but energy. Like you can't have a highest capacity for for your imagination and your creativity when your mind is full of thoughts. It's like, where are they gonna go? There's no room in there. Right? And your thoughts are making you stressed. And so we are humans, right? We're also etheric beings, so we don't have to get into that. But so we're human beings with like human physiology. And so when we're stressed, creativity and inspiration is the first thing to go. Because it's like when we were cavemen, cavewomen, whatever, if a tiger is chasing us, we're not worried about being creative and being in our inspiration. We're worried about getting away from that tiger, right? But the way that society is set up now is that back in the day, if a tiger's chasing you and you get away from it, your stress is gone, right? For the most part. But now it's like, well, now I have an email. Well, now I gotta pick the kids up from school. Well, now I gotta do this and this and this and this and this. Right? So it's like you're in a perpetual state of your central nervous system being activated and being in fight or flight. And so those thoughts cause that as well. It's not just the things, thoughts do that on the same level. And so if you get out a piece of paper in the morning and you write out all your thoughts, you're literally taking that energy and you're putting it outside of you. And when I did that, felt so much better. Like you're starting your day off from a blank, neutral energy point. And so now you have the space to like bring new stuff inside, if that makes sense. If you do that for 30 days, that's what I did. I had made a commitment. I'm going to do this for 30 days every morning. My month that I had was wildly different. Wildly different. And the thing is too, if someone is frustrating, you should end the physical communication. So when I did that, I also saw where I was having cycles in the things that I was worried about and stressed about. Like it's also a really good self-awareness tool. Like you don't have to use it as that. Some people just use it as like a brain dump. But if you're like very wanting to figure out like, what is it that's causing you so much anxiety? You'll start to see patternings in the papers. And you'll be like, oh, okay, well now I see that this person or this thing or this experience is causing me a lot of stress. And then you can kind of go down that rabbit hole. Right? But like do that for 30 days and you will be so amazed at like how much better you feel during the day. You got to do it before you get on your phone or have interactions with people though, because you already have to come from a space of like neutrality before you start interacting with your day or other people or your phone. And then you're just coming from so much more of like a clear mind for the rest of your day. Okay. So the next thing, so there was a time in my life where I was just like, I don't have anything to be thankful for. Like I was so anxious and depressed. I was just like, I don't like anything here. Right? And when you're coming from that space of just such unhappiness, it's hard to see how little things can make you happy. And so I had heard from other spiritual teachers like, oh, you should keep a gratefulness journal. Well, journaling's not my thing. Like, it's just not. Like, I have never been like a big journaler. Now that I'm talking about, you know, the mind dump journaling, that's a little bit different. Some people do automatic writing and things like that. But I was like, I'm not going to do that. And how is that going to change my life? Like, whatever. Right? And so one day I woke up and I was like, I'm going to try it. I'm just going to try it and I'm going to see what happens. Because I was like, at this point, I'll try anything. And so I got a notes app in my phone. And I was like, I'm going to write the top 5 things that I'm most grateful for every day for 30 days. This is another 30-day challenge I gave myself. I have something about that. Okay. So I was like, I'm going to write. And I was like, well, I don't have anything to put in there. And I was like, well, yeah, I do. You know what? I'm going to put very basic things. Like, I'm glad that I have a bed. I'm glad that I have legs so that I can walk around. I'm glad that I have a shower, right? I'm glad that I have water to drink, like very basic human necessity things. And the thing about writing in a gratefulness journal, I said, I'm going to write in it before I go to bed. Like, I'm going to make a commitment that I have to write in this before I go to bed. And so I started putting things in there. And then the funny thing that happens is when you do that, your brain your subconscious is like, oh, now I have a job to do. I go out into the world and I'm going to find things for Brittany to write in her notes. And so it changes your perceptual lenses. And now you're looking for things to be grateful for. And now you're seeing things to be grateful for. So when I was putting in there like, oh, I'm grateful that I have arms so that I can hug my son, right? It started evolving. And I was like, oh, I'm really grateful that I'm starting to speak up for myself, or hold boundaries with people, or that I'm more confident, or that I'm stepping into my purpose. Like by the end of that 30 days, vastly different from when I first started. Like vastly, vastly different. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to take this a step further. I'm going to put 10 things. And so I started doing 10 things. And the things started growing and growing and multiplying like vastly and like way more deeply, especially like introspectively. And then I started like having more of a positive mindset about myself. Because I was like, I'm so happy that like I'm talking better about myself. I'm thankful for being successful. I'm thankful for showing up for myself. Like it compounds on top of each other. And like you literally, the things that you see outside of your reality completely change. Because now your perceptual lens, like your third eye or whatever you want, subconscious, whatever it is for you, completely changes. And now you're looking for things to be grateful for. Like this morning, already stressed, right? And then I left my phone at home, which was great. Sometimes you need a break from your phone. Left my phone at home, went to the gas station, and there was these ducks in my apartment complex. And they're like walking by, and I could have chose to just like, oh, that's some ducks, right? But I was like, I'm gonna sit here for a minute and watch these ducks cross the street. I was like, they're so cute. Right? And they were like waddling and like having fun. And like it was a group of them, like they were friends and they were going to go take a swim. And like I just sat in appreciation of that. And I was like, I'm so happy that I left my phone at home. Because if I had had that with me, I would have been listening to a podcast or YouTube or whatever. Like I'm grateful that I got to sit and watch these cute little ducks walk across the street, right? So when you appreciate like tiny things like that, even though it seems tiny, it gives you those little like energy boosts. You know, we love dopamine and serotonin, right? So it's like about finding little things throughout your day that you can be like, wow, I'm really happy that I saw that. Or wow, I'm really happy I experienced that. And then write it in your gratefulness journal at the end of the day. And it can be little things. Like it doesn't have to be some big major thing. Like you can be grateful for anything. But if you do that for 30 days, like it really got me out of a lot of anxiety and depression. And it started snowballing. Like at first it was like cringy and I was like having a difficult time finding things to put in there and I was repeating a lot of things, but then it just like took on a life of its own. And then I started interacting differently in the world as well. Okay. Okay. So the next one is bare feet on the ground. So as an empath light worker, okay, I feel everyone's energy all the time. All their emotions, feelings, thoughts, like all this stuff, right? I'm better about it now because I hold boundaries and do shielding and clearing and things like that. But it still affects me, especially like doing this for full-time work, right? I take on a lot of people's stuff so I can feel it, so I can give back to them. Or like when I'm out in public, I just naturally attune to feeling people's stuff. And that has a tendency to layer on top of you. Like layer. Like you got your own stuff going on. Now you got all this other people's stuff on you, right? So when I started going outside, it's called grounding or earthing, putting my bare feet on the earth and stomping my feet on the ground. That's a great one. You don't have to do that, but stomping your feet on the ground. So we have an electrical current throughout our body. And when if you're an empath or a light worker or like a highly sensitive person and you're around a lot of people, your energy field is getting mixed in their energy field and it's creating overwhelm in your body because your central nervous system is like, this stuff is too much. Like there's too much going on right now, okay? It makes your electrical current like spazzy. And so if you go outside and you put your bare feet on the earth, it grounds that energy. If you take it a step further and you go out with the intention to ground into Mother Earth and Mother Gaia, and you say, hey, Mother Gaia, Mother Earth, you know, if that's your vibe. Can you help ground my energy? You can also do that with trees. You can put your hand on a tree. They love doing that for you, because helping you is helping them. And vice versa, okay? So you put your hand on a tree and you say, hey, can you help me ground my energy? And they will do that for you. But putting your bare feet on the earth, even if it's for like 5 minutes a day, can completely reset your system. Especially like walking in the grass, like nice soft grass, like it feels really good on your feet. And just having that moment of peace and saying, for 5 minutes, I'm just gonna take 5 minutes from my day and connect back into the earth and ground my energy. It has helped me like so much. When I start to feel spazzy and ungrounded, like I will just go outside for like 5 minutes, sometimes with my dogs, and just walk around with my bare feet on the earth. And I feel so much better afterwards, especially if I'm holding the intention of asking the earth to help me ground. And it will, and she will. Mother guy, okay. I need to go outside more bare feet and sit with her. I don't know what's been stopping me. We just get into like, we forget to do things sometimes. That's why like I have a big toolkit that I use, because sometimes I feel like doing things and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do 30-day challenges, and sometimes I'm real spazzy with the things that I do, talking about being spazzy. So that's why it's nice to have multiple things that you can go to if you don't have the energy for one thing or the other. I have a spot I used to go to every day. I have a tree and sit and meditate. I need to get back. Yeah. So sitting with your back on a tree and asking to ground in, they love helping with that. Like love helping with that. Tree spirits love that. Okay. Okay. The next one is stretching. Stretching is the most underrated thing to me in like mental health. Okay. And I know it sounds kind of silly, like how is stretching going to help me? Okay. So this is why. So when we experience trauma or stress, a lot of us have a difficult time processing our emotions, or feeling our emotions. And when we don't process our emotions fully or feel into them, they crystalline and harden in our body. And that's where disease comes from. Not all disease, but a lot of disease. Dis-ease. Okay? It crystallines and then we get tight and then we feel constricted and it's like our body hurts. Okay? A beautiful way to release that energy is by doing stretching. Like, it has changed so much for me. When I start to feel overwhelmed and anxious and my body starts to hurt like that, I'll go do a 20-minute stretch and I immediately feel better afterwards. It's also a great way to drop into... Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. Thank you. It helps you drop into your consciousness and let go of the other stuff around you, because you're literally so into your body. Because it's not that it hurts, but it's like you're very present while it's happening. Like, you have to lean into it and push yourself, right? And so you don't really have time for like the monkey mind thoughts. So people that have ADHD a lot of times do better with active meditations. Like, not sitting in silence, but doing meditation while doing something and keeping your body busy. So you can use stretching as a meditation too. And so there's a woman named Sydney Cummings on YouTube, and she has been an incredible lifesaver for me. Like, she has hundreds of stretching videos. She has positive music. It's like so upbeat. She has great energy, and like I just highly recommend her if you want somebody to do stretching with. But it can be anybody. I'm not as into yoga as some other people are, my friends. Stretching, like that type of stretching, more like exercise type of stretching, has benefited me more. Like, yoga's just not for everybody, and that's okay. That's okay if that's not your vibe. But like, stretching in general will make you feel so much better. And I know a lot of people say, well, I'm not at that level that instructor is. Well, I'm not either. They do that professionally most of the time, right? And so go at your comfort level. Like, do what you can do. And you don't have to do 20 minutes. If you're new to stretching, I didn't do 20-minute videos. I couldn't do 20 minutes. Hey, Lori. Hey. I couldn't do 20 minutes. I did 5 minutes. And then I did 10 minutes. Right? And I led my way up to there. Sometimes I don't have time for a 20-minute video. I'll do 5 minutes. I'll do 10 minutes. But throw some fun music on too, and like enjoy the experience, like be present, and it will make you feel so much better. And the more you do it, okay, I'm gonna stipulation, the more that you do it, the more your body will crave it too. Like I can only go so many days now without stretching, and my body's like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? Why are we not doing what we're supposed to be doing? And then when I stretch, I'm like, dang, I really wish I would have done this like the past 3 days. I probably would have felt better. That's a good reminder for me today. Like, let's stretch. Okay. If you wish to meditate on your third eye, what would you recommend? So some people, especially if you have ADHD, like I said, active meditations are great. Like you can meditate while you're washing dishes. You can, and speaking of active meditation, hey, Kels, I know we talked about that the other day. Good morning. You can meditate while you dance. Like you can put a 10-minute dance video or 10-minute music on, like for 10 minutes, and just dance. And it helps clear your mind. Also, guided meditations. Like when I started my meditation journey, too much going on up here. And so guided meditations helped me significantly. Like now I can sit in meditation in quiet for the most part and have a still mind. But guided meditations also, a lot of times people think that meditation is all about clearing your mind completely. That's not what meditation is about, or what I have found with other people or in my experiences. It's very disheartening when you hear that. Like, oh, you need to be able to sit in the silence for 30 minutes. No, you don't. Especially if you have ADHD. It's about learning that you are the observer of your thoughts and that you are not your thoughts. So I'll explain that a little bit. So I can have a thought, right? And I can choose whether I'm in alignment with that thought or not. Like if I say, wow, you could have done so much better today. Okay, so let's take me outside of that and look at it and say like, oh, do I really believe that? Or do I not? And so the capacity for me to look at that thought means that I'm not that thought. There's a consciousness behind that. The thought is your brain and your ego minds. What's behind that is your spirit and your soul. It is trying to match up in alignment, right? And so when you're in meditation, it's about being the observer and saying like, oh, I see all these thoughts. That's fine. It's fine that they're here. Like they just want to be seen and heard and validated. And so like when you come from like the observer and say like, okay, well, I align with that or I don't, and then come back to stillness and peace. Like that's what you're trying to do. Okay? So like the thoughts are always going to come up. Like they're always going to come up. It's about choosing whether you align with that or not and coming back to stillness and peace. And teaching your brain that you're not your thoughts. Like that to me is the ultimate goal of meditation. It's not about let's clear our mind out for 30 minutes. It may be so. Like there's been times where I actively try and clear out my thoughts, right? But for the most part, it's me just saying like, I'm aligned with that or I'm not. And let's find some peace and serenity. I'm aligned with that, I'm not. Let's find some peace and serenity. Okay? So the next one is, and thank you for the shares. I appreciate that, and the likes. It helps more people be able to come in. So the next one is you are affirmations or affirmations. So if you want to change a lot of things in your life, not change, but like just move forward with things. There's so much programming that gets put into our paradigm and into our reality when we're children. And that is our subconscious. And if you want to make big, significant changes in your life, sometimes you have to work with your subconscious because that's the stuff that's like way back there. That's like running what's going on right now, right? Those are the blocks and, like trauma stuff. So what I have found in my experience when I started was going to sleep, like right before I went to sleep, or I still do this, right before I go to sleep, I listen to affirmations because that's when your subconscious is the most open to suggestion. It's when you're in theta state. When you're in theta state, it's like that very relaxed state of mind. That's also like why people sometimes, like when you're watching TV, that's why they say, be mindful of what you're watching and you're consuming, because TV and listening to music can put you in the theta state. And now your subconscious is like very open to whatever it's hearing and listening to. And so right before you wake up, or not right before you wake up, right when you wake up is a great time to do it too, because you're in theta state still, like for a little brief period of time there. But I would listen to affirmations every single night, like every single night for months. And when I first heard about that, I was like, oh, that's not gonna really help. It did. It significantly helped me. And then I shifted over to you are affirmations, because I heard there's this gentleman named Shaman Durek, if anybody knows him, and he's a very wise being, and he said when we're children, we don't hear I am affirmations. We hear you are. You are this, you are that, you are this, what have you, right? And so what do you think is going to be more effective for deep-rooted programming that was put in as a child? You are affirmations. And so I switched to you are. Now some I am affirmations are great. I am affirmations, I'm not dogging those. I still use those. But there's some things that if they have to do with childhood and very deep-rooted programming things, that's what you want to tackle with you are affirmations. So there's a woman named Jessica Heslop on YouTube. And if anybody, oh, hey V, that's so sweet. First dose of Brittany in the morning. That's very sweet. I'm glad to have you in here too. So Jessica Heslop, and if anybody wants the things that I'm talking about in this, you can message me on Instagram. It's Soulharmonyhealing, and I'll send you the things. Just type me a little message. But her name is Jessica Heslop, and she has tons of you are affirmations on YouTube. Some of them are like an hour, and some of them are like 8 hours. So like the whole time you're sleeping. I really think that if you listen to them for like an hour or two at bedtime, because then you're getting out of theta state, we're going into deeper states of sleeping. But if you can do at least an hour or two at bedtime, it really does make a significant difference in your life, in my opinion, and in my experience, and other people that I know as well. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through all these, but we'll try. Okay. The next one is micro stepping. Oh, hello. Oh, you're welcome. This is going to be up on my YouTube too, if anybody is just now popping in and wants to hear the rest of them. So micro stepping. So I just made a video a second ago on my main page on my TikTok about this, but so when you're trying to change big things in your life, it's very overwhelming, because it's like, where do I even start? Like, that's so much, right? Especially if it's something big that you're trying to shift. And so what I have found in my experience is to not look at it through that lens. Like, I will look at it like, okay, yeah, there's that big goal over there, but what can I do right now today to help me get to that? Sometimes those things need to be very, very, very small steps. Like, okay, I'll give you an example. I use this in my video. So I wanted to start a Patreon, right? I've been talking to my friend about it for weeks. It might have been a month or two. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. Or what if I put all this effort and energy into it and then it doesn't work, right? Oh, good. I'm glad that you need to hear it. Okay, good. I'm glad it's resonating. So I was like, what if it doesn't work? What if I just invest all this time and I don't know how to do it? And I was like, wait a minute. Like, this happens every single time we're trying to do something new. Like, I have done so many things in my life that I didn't know how to do. Hello. Hey, Pixie. That I didn't know how to do. It doesn't matter though. Like, I always figure it out. But I figure it out by micro breaking it down. I'm glad to have you back. A Patreon, I'll explain that a little bit in case that's new. A Patreon is like a monthly membership that you sign up for with someone, and then you get content from them, like specifically only on Patreon. And so if you want to check it out, there's a link in my bio. But it's also like a more way to interact with that person on like a deeper level. What was I saying? Okay, see, this is my brain. Okay. So with Patreon, okay, so I was like, I don't know how to do that. And I was like, well, let's stop And this is just like every single time that we've done something new. And so I was like, what can I do today that can help me? And I said, I'm gonna watch a video about Patreon. And so I watched like a 30-minute video, and I was like, okay, I'm starting to understand. And then I watched a bunch of more videos over the course of like the last week. And then I read a bunch of articles, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. So I went online, and I was looking at the site, and I was like, okay, I'm a little confused about how this works. So I found the issues that I was seeing popping up, and then I researched about those issues, right? And so I tackled that, and then I was like, well, I don't know what to put in here. Like, what do I put inside this, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna research other people's Patreons. And so then I go on a deep dive and start looking at all these other people that are doing something similar to me, but not the same. Or maybe they're doing the same thing, right? But then I say, okay, if I'm gonna put stuff in my Patreon, what do I wanna put in there? And so now I have one. Like, I literally just launched it yesterday. But I was so nervous, and I was like, oh, what if it doesn't work? It doesn't matter if it doesn't work or not. Like, sometimes it's not about the thing, it's about you learning like a growth from that. Like, if it works out, great, but like, that was another anchor point for me. Like, it doesn't matter if I don't know how to do it, I can figure it out, and I will. You really have to tell yourself, like, I will do this and I will figure it out. Okay? And sometimes it takes a lot longer to do things than other things, and that's okay. Like, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? And like, you have to and that's another thing, like celebrating yourself along the way. Hey, Marjorie. Hey. I cannot stress enough how important it is to celebrate every single thing that you do. Because one thing that led to my anxiety and depression, because I'm a perfectionist and an overachiever, okay, is let's say I have a list of things to do, like a 10, let's do these 10 things today. The energy that I used to come from was, you only got 2 of these things done today, like look at you. Like, you can't even do more than 2 things on this list, right? Like, just very berating. I woke up one day and I was like, you know what? This is not working. Like, this negative self-talk is not pushing me to do the rest of the things. Like, it's just very defeatist out the gate. And so now what I do is I say, oh, look at that. We got 2 things done on this list. Like, that's great. And I'll just roll those things over to the next day. We got plenty of days and time ahead of us. And I'm not saying you don't have deadlines and things that you have to do on a certain timeline, right? But you saying, like, good job, like, you got 2 of these things done. Like, I'm so proud of you. Like, you're so successful. Look at how much you're accomplishing. Doesn't that feel like way different than saying, like, you could have done better and you aren't worthy and all these things? Because that is not fuel. That is eating your energy. If you're coming from the space of, I got up today and I brushed my teeth. Great. You did it. I got up today and I took the trash out. I'm so awesome. Like, I love having a clean house, and look at me taking this trash out right now. Like, if you come from that space, you're giving yourself so much fuel and encouragement, and it propels you forward to do more things. And you can't wait to do that with being successful and having the thing. Like me. Okay, let's take that for example. I know I use me a lot, but that's how I talk. So I want to run retreats. Like, I want to host spiritual retreats, EDM retreats. Okay. And like, that is a huge goal that's like way out in front of me. And if I keep on telling myself I'll be successful when I get that, it like never fills that space and that void inside. Because it doesn't matter what X is saying, like, I'm going to wait to be happy and proud of myself until I get that thing. And that feeling, you will never feel that with that thing. Because it's like, after you get that, it's then what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And that's how I used to function. And saying, like, okay, well, now I have the thing. Great. Now what? Like, that is not sustainable. What is sustainable is hugging yourself and telling I love you for brushing your teeth. If that's the only thing you do for today, that's forward movement. Forward movement is forward movement. Progress is progress. It doesn't matter what the container is. It doesn't matter how big it is. It doesn't matter how small it is. Progress and forward movement is progress and forward movement. And so, EDM. EDM retreat is electronic dance music. I love EDM music. Like, I'm a big festival person. And so I want to put together like an EDM spiritual consciousness festival in retreat. I would love to have everybody when I get that together, and I will. Okay, but you got to celebrate what you have going on right now, because that will get you to the next thing, and not to like I said, push success further outside of you. It's like, where can we celebrate self right now? And when you switch to that mindset, it's like, I can do anything. I can accomplish anything because I am already successful. It's not saying I will be successful when, it's saying I am successful right now. And solidifying that into your subconscious and paradigm. That will do more for you than anything. Oh, good. I'm glad it's resonating. Okay, good. Good. Okay. So the next thing is finding an accountability partner. This is huge. So I used to, happy Easter. Happy Easter. So an accountability partner. I used to not like asking people for help because I had a big giant ego, and I was like, I can do everything by myself. And I can do everything better than everybody else. And that was a rough time in my life. Okay. And not saying that you can't do things by yourself. Just when I started like co-collaborating with people and asking people for help and asking people for their advice and like having that stuff mirrored back to me and like, where can I grow? It pushed me forward significantly, like so significantly, because we get so intermeshed and intertwined into our own like life and bubble that we can't see like what other people are seeing, or we can't see where we can improve. So like having an accountability partner to do like check-ins is so important. And like having things to like bounce off of somebody, not somebody, like if you find an accountability partner, like I have one, her name is Tracy, and I love her so much. I always run things by her, not to, you know, take her advice and say I have to do that, but like have a outside reflection of what I'm doing, what's going on. That's with my trauma that I have going on, my emotions, what I want to do in business, like all these different things. And it's not just her, like I have other accountability partners, but it helps you see where you can improve and grow, and it gives you an outside perspective of yourself. Let's see. That is what you believe is learned and collected throughout lifetime. I've been struggling to figure out what I believe and having to keep reminding myself that you believe is learned and collected through your life, not a day. Yes, I'll talk about that a little bit too. So when I tell my accountability partners things, it pushes me to do the things. Because everybody in here, like, you can say that you're going to do something, but then, like, if you're the only one holding yourself accountable, sometimes it doesn't get done. If you tell somebody else that you're going to do something and you find an accountability partner that will hold you to that, not berate you if you don't do it, just be like, hey, what's going on with that? Where are you at on this? What are you doing? What are you doing? Right? Like, we'll ask each other, what are you doing for your business today? What are you doing for your inner child today? What are you doing for this and this and this and this and this? Because sometimes you're not thinking about something until somebody puts it in your peripheral, in your consciousness, right? And so if you're telling somebody you're going to do something and they're a good accountability partner to keep you in check on that, you're more likely to get it done. Or like for me, I teach, like when I first started on this like teaching journey, like this spiritual guide journey, right? I was so nervous and scared to be in front of people. Like, people don't know that I went through a long, treacherous journey of becoming a content creator, and it was me crying on the bathroom floor a lot. Okay, and being so scared, and it was just a lot, okay? So, and sometimes we don't see that. We see the other end of, like, other people's journeys. We don't see all that stuff they went through, right? And so when I was terrified to get in front of people, I would tell people that I'm going to do a workshop or a class, even if I wasn't prepared for it. Like I would say, I'm going to teach about stress and anxiety 30 days from now, and I'm going to do it on this day, and I'm going to do it on this time. And when I said that, and I put it out on public or social media or told my friends, now I have to do it. I don't have a choice. And you have choice, you cannot do it, but you're more likely to do it. And so I was like, well, I told these people, and I'm not going to look like a fool. And I'm not going to not show up because I said I'm going to do it. And so I went and I did it. And the funny thing is that when you make that decision and you put a date and time on it, and you tell other people and you're holding accountable to those people, your brain kicks in overdrive. And the universe starts bringing you experiences to help get you ready for it. And now you're researching about things, and like it's in your peripheral, like you're changing your perceptual lens of like, okay, well, I got to get ready for this thing. And now your subconscious is like looking for different ways to help you. So I'll give you an example. So my friend Tracy and I were doing a workshop about shame and guilt. And we decided to do that because we didn't know like a whole lot about it. Like I've experienced the shame and guilt, but as far as like really diving in deep with it and then teaching other people about it, teaching other people about things is a great way to learn yourself. If you're a teacher or a guide, like that's an excellent way to do it. But we're like, okay, well, we're gonna teach people about shame and guilt 3 weeks from now. And what happened was we started researching about it and like consuming all this content and like talking to other people about it. And then all of a sudden, the day of the workshop, we actually watched a bunch of Brene Brown's content. Yes. So the day of the workshop, like we did it that evening, her and I, on our own separate journeys, we experienced a very heavy thing around shame and guilt that day. Like very heavy. And we were talking on the phone and we're like, should we cancel this? Like, because her and I were like deep in our emotions. Like it was a lot. And she was like, we should still do it because now we're in that energy, in that space, and we can tell people like we're living and breathing this like right now. And I was like, you're absolutely right. Like, let's do it. And then we talked it out during the workshop. Like what was going on. And then we helped people talk out their stuff that was going on. But we were in that vibration and frequency because we showed up. And we decided to do it anyway. Because we told people we're going to be there. And we were going to help them with it. And so, and it wasn't the funnest ride because the universe was like, here you go. Here's something you can teach about. But it was us having faith that it would work out. Because we would show up and we were doing the research. And then all of a sudden we have a big giant life experience to bring along with it. Okay. Oh, thank you for saying I said articulate. Articulate myself well. I appreciate that. It's practice being in front of people. So like just showing up and putting a date and a time, like it really kicks things into high gear. And it will get your subconscious going, and the universe will bring you experiences for it. But even if outside of that, like finding an accountability partner, one that can hold safe spaces for you, not somebody that's going to say, well, how are you going to do that? You need to find an accountability partner that says, I believe in you. I know that you're going to do that. How can I help you or how can I support you? I'll be here to chat if you need. There's zero doubt in their mind that you will do that thing. Like I told my friend I want to be a manifestation coach. Like I teach a lot about a lot of different things and coach in a lot of different areas. But I was like, I'm going to be a manifestation coach. And she was like, great. Good for you. She was like, why do you want to do that? And I told her. And she was like, great. Let me know if I can help you. There was zero doubt in her mind that I would do that. And that's why she's my accountability partner. And so find you somebody that has zero doubt in their mind that you will do that. They might ask you, how are you going to do it? But they're doing it in a loving way, not like, I don't believe in you. Okay. And even with that, like, there's no doubt in my mind that one day I'm just going to be like, I'm a manifestation coach. And even now, I have people that reach out to me and say, like, our conversations have helped me make forward movement in my life. Like, like sometimes when you say something and you affirm that, or like, I'm going to do this, it doesn't matter what I have to do, like, it's gonna happen. The funny thing is, it ends up happening. You are a manifestation coach. There we go. We're all saying it together. And I am. I'm affirming it right now. I am a manifestation coach. I always go with like mindset coach and like all these other things, spiritual healer, energy healer. I am a manifestation coach. Thank you. And manifestation always doesn't have to do with, I think a lot of times I get caught up in thinking that manifestation has to do with abundance and prosperity, and it does, but there's other things that manifestation coach, it's not just about abundance and prosperity. It's about a lot of other different things. It's about having happier days. It's about not feeling anxious and depressed as much. Like, there's a million different things that come with that. It's not just about money and all those things. Nicole, I will add it to my bio. I will do that today to affirm that into my paradigm, into my reality. Thank you. Okay, so, so I have two more things. Okay, so ADHD and running lists. I have ADHD, and speaking of like getting things done, right? So something that I have found that's really beneficial is to keep, and I just got a new one yesterday, or you can do it on your phone. Sometimes I have to switch things up. Some things I'll like use on my phone for like 6 months, and then sometimes I switch to paper because ADHD, you got to switch things up. Okay, so I get running lists. Like, I will write 15 things that I need to do. Okay, and then whatever I get done on that day, great. We check it off. We highlight it off. We love highlighting and checking off because it's a big serotonin and dopamine dump. And it gives you that fuel. But you got to celebrate and say, like, good job for getting those 2 out of 15 things done. Like, you're so awesome, right? So whatever I don't get done, I move to the next day. And then I just keep rolling it over. Just keep rolling it over. And I tell myself, I got plenty of days ahead of me. I got plenty of time. And that's not saying you don't have deadlines, like I said before. Like, some things we have to get done on a certain timeline, right? But there's other things that have a little more flexibility. Like, oh, I don't really have to do that today, right? So I move those over. Like, I just keep a running list. And so that way, like, having a tangible list takes all of that stress and anxiety, because if you're keeping that in your brain, it is literally taking up so much energy and space for creativity and inspiration and imagination. But if you know that you have a list that you can look at, you're like, oh, I can just go back to that. I don't need to keep it up here. I can literally just look at my phone, or I can literally just look at this notepad, and like, I don't have to think about it all day, right? Look at it in the morning, look at it at night. It is in the morning, at night. And then you don't have to keep it up in your mindscape, because that takes up so much energy and causes so much anxiety. Just keep your list and keep rolling things over. Okay. And then when you keep a list like that and you get used to it and you get used to that methodology, you start doing more things on the list. Like, it may seem a little overwhelming right now if you haven't done that before, but it's not like that forever. Like, you're like, well, what if I keep rolling things over? Now I got 100,000 things on my list. What I have found in my experience is that if I keep a list like that and I keep checking in, like, things get done. If I keep everything up here and I'm trying to like do that up on the whiteboard in my brain, things don't get done. Like, they literally just don't get done because there's too much. I'm thinking of 8,000 different things instead of like the actual 15 things that I really need to do. Okay. The next one is the last one. This is working with your 5 senses if you have anxiety or panic attacks, or you get overwhelmed, or you have intrusive thoughts. And so sometimes we'll get down these rabbit holes and these spirals. I know everybody knows what I'm talking about, where you just like tanking. Okay, that's because your central nervous system is getting overactivated and you're getting in fight or flight. And now the stress cortisol is coming in. And now you're constricted, and now you're anxious, and now it's like everything's going out of control. Okay. So I heard this from, I can't remember who it was, but if you do something to activate one of your 5 senses when that's happening, it can snap your central nervous system out of fight or flight. And so if you keep sour candy in your car or in your bag or in your backpack or your purse, and when you start to go down that rabbit hole and you eat a piece of sour candy, it immediately snaps you out of it. Like immediately, because like your brain and your body, like it has a difficult time doing those 2 things at one time, and it hyper focuses on the candy, on all of a sudden you can breathe physically and emotionally. Okay, so eating some sour candy is great. Peppermint spray, that's what I like to use. You can use eucalyptus, you can use citrus sprays, like essential oils that you can wear on your skin or your clothes. Don't get something that's like toxic. Okay, or like if you're at let's say you're at Walmart, because Walmart's a big trigger for people. So you're at Walmart and you're really overwhelmed. Go to the candle section and smell 10 candles. Like just like breathe it in. Okay, and when you do that, it snaps you out of the hole, because you're activating like your whole physical body to do that. Or if you're out of the store and it's a lot, you can go to the bathroom and turn on the cold water and run your hands through the cold water, like as cold as it can get. And when you do that, it does something with your pulse, but it helps soothe your pulse down, but it snaps you out, snaps you back. Okay. Another one is if you're out of the store and you're stressed, or wherever it is, or at home, get something to read. Like it can be the back of a vegetable can, it can be a book, it can be a magazine, it can be whatever that is for you. But like reading a big paragraph, you have to hyper focus and get out of the thoughts. You have to hyper focus to be able to read. And then another one is with your ears, is putting some headphones in and blasting loud music, whatever music that you like to play. It's like your body hyper focuses on the music instead. So anything that you can do to activate your 5 senses when you're going in fight or flight and you're starting to panic and you're like, okay, is what sense can I do right now? What eyes, eat something, not just eat anything. It has to be something that's going to be like a peppermint or something that's going to be like, oh, or a sour candy. Okay, or go wash my hands in ice cold water. Or get an ice cube and like run, if we might have makeup on, but like run it on your arms and your neck, something that's gonna like shock you a little bit. Okay. Yeah, love reading to get out of lower energy. Like I woke up this morning and I could already tell that I was running on a little bit of low energy and a little stressed. And so I got my book and I read for like 30 minutes and I felt so much better. Like so much better. I wasn't worried about what was going on in life or all the things I need to do, all this stuff. I was just so present in the moment reading that when I got done, I was like, okay, I feel a lot better. Okay, so I think that's all the tips that I have for today. Oh, yay! Thank you, Nicole, for letting me know. So does anybody have any questions or anything? I'm going to get off here in a second. Yeah, it's a brain distract. It's also like a central nervous system distract. Like that's the thing. People think it's just the thoughts. It's your central nervous system. There's too much stress hormones and cortisol getting dumped into your body. And another thing I'll say too, if you experience a lot of anxiety and stress, your stress hormones don't just go away. Like they can over time, but like they're literally just, it's eating up your energy in your body. You have to do something that is going to get them out. And something that's great is doing a physical activity. But it has to be kind of like an exertive physical activity. Like not everybody wants to go exercise, right? But you can do like 10 jumping jacks. You can go on a brisk walk. Not just like a leisurely walk, a brisk walk. You can throw on some music for 10 minutes and dance around. Like you have to like kind of put your body in motion, or stretching for 10 minutes, but like doing a physical little exerting activity releases all the stress hormones, and then you can start fresh. And I think sometimes people are like, well, I don't have time, or I don't want to go exercise for 30 minutes or an hour. You don't have to do that. Do like 20 jumping jacks and you'll feel better. It'll snap you back into the present. But stress hormones don't just go away. You have, and they do. I shouldn't say they don't go away. They do go away. But like if you have, like in the morning time, you have a panicky episode, and then you don't do anything physical after that, then your whole entire day is dictated by those stress hormones in your body. Like it takes like 24 hours. You got to go to sleep. And so like the whole entire day is changed because of that. And so if you can do something to prevent that from happening, like a little physical activity, like sometimes I'll go outside and play tennis with my son for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. It helps get me very present, and it's enough like movement where I feel better and the stress hormones are gone. Yes, just breathe, and breathe if you can't bring yourself to get up. Just stretch and breathe. Yeah, that's great. Like on the floor, like if you're panicking and you're like, if you literally just stretch for 5 minutes and like Gloria is saying, just take some deep breaths and tell yourself like, I'm safe, I'm secure, I'm loved, I'm going to show my body appreciation right now, and I'm going to stretch for 5 minutes. Like that can help you so much. So much. Okay. Thank you everybody for coming to my TED Talk today. That's another thing that I'm going to do one day. Now, how am I going to do it? I don't think I'm going to do it. What if that? I will be on TED Talk. Affirm those things and tell yourself you're going to do them. Doesn't matter what the journey looks like. It's going to happen. Okay? All right. So, this will be up on YouTube for anybody that wants to watch it in its entirety. Also, something I talked about is I started my Patreon. And so if anybody's interested in checking that out, there is a link in my bio. I appreciate everybody for showing up, and I hope everybody has a very happy Sunday. Happy Easter for some people as well. And then I will see everybody next time, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Bye.